Happy lunch hour, gang. Okay, so let's get into the last bit of what's going on here on Friday. The Biden signing off on the debt debacle, which will probably happen somewhere around the end of the day today. So, of course, nobody's really going to pay attention to it over the weekend, and then Monday morning they'll be going, "Oh, everything's good, back to whatever's going on," right? Okay, but your money, which of course is important. Now, I want you to think about this. Sitting at home, you and the spouse sitting at the kitchen table going over bills, whatever your budget is. I don't care if you make $10,000 a year or $1 million a year. We all have discussions in the family about spending. Okay. And when you look at the checkbook and there's more month left over than there is money left over, you have some hard decisions to make. And the choices are one of three things. Okay. You can either spend less, borrow more, or earn more, right? Those are the things. It's like, okay, honey, we can either cut our spending, okay, which is a good thing to do. We can borrow, but that's an idiotic thing to do. That's to borrow your way out of debt, which is impossible. Or you can make more money. Maybe it means getting a second job. Maybe it means working some overtime, doing whatever, right? Those are the only three options. There aren't any others. It's the same for the government. Okay. Well, they've already determined today, okay, that they're not going to cut spending. Ooh, the teensy tiny little thing that McCarthy says is a great victory, yippee-doo-dah. Okay, that's not cutting spending. You tell me you're cutting spending by 10%, I'll listen. 0.2%, no. Okay, sorry, not going to happen. Borrow more money. Well, that was their solution. Okay, but there's only a point, that you can get so far where you can't borrow anymore, where creditors tell you, sorry, we're not raising your credit limit, we're not giving you a loan, doing whatever. The same thing is going to happen with the government right around January of 2025, okay, when this whole thing ends. Like I told you, that puts us right at the cusp of being to the point we can't do anything. So that only leaves one option for the government: make more money. Well, the problem with the government is they don't produce anything to earn anything. They just steal it from us in the form of taxes. So what else happens in January 2025, or I'm sorry, in 2025? This will be the end of 2025. The Trump tax cuts expire, okay? And that's big. Now, chances are we're going to see a complete turnover in Washington, but who knows what happens in the next 18 months, okay? If the election was today, I would bet that we would have a Republican president and the Senate would flip red, okay? Now, I know what a lot of you are going to say. It's the uniparty anyway. I'm right there with you, but I'm hoping that we had more like the MAGA Republicans rather than the Rhino Republicans that wind up in, okay? Taxes, of course, always are something that are going to be a big concern in election posturing, okay? Promises made. You remember George Bush, no new taxes. What did he do? He got elected, and then he raised taxes. And then that, of course, brought us Bill Clinton and the demise of modern society. We're going to see the same thing here. And the Democrats are playing right into this, and the GOP is too stupid to realize it. The debt ceiling expires right at the time the next president takes over, or the borrowing amount, okay? So then what they'll do is try to force the Republicans to raise taxes, which would force them to not make permanent the Trump tax cuts, because they got to have money somewhere. So this is what you need to kind of prep for: how to get yourself out of the tax system. And you've got 2.5 years, okay, pretty much to do it. Gives you a little bit of time to do whatever. Squirrel away as much as you can. maybe you're close to retirement or whatever, and you can retire beforehand. Have savings that you can live off of, so you're not paying the income tax or whatever. I'll give you this. For the last 20 years, okay, and I'm just going to use the bottom end, all right, the low end threshold, because most of us fall into that middle class area or whatever, and by the time deductions are done, our nominal tax or our marginal tax rate is usually around the bottom. There might be a few people here who are quite wealthy, but I'm betting most of us aren't. Okay. But if you look back for the last 20 years, including Obama's term, okay, the lowest marginal tax rate was 10%. Everybody goes, oh my God, that's a lot. We need to cut taxes. Well, okay. I want to, if you go back the last 100 years, all right, World War I, we were 2%, 4%, whatever it would be, okay. That lasted all the way into coming out of the Great Depression and going into World War II, all right. Even in 1941, we were at 10%. 1942, mind you, that's the end. World War II is now, in the throes, worse expensive. But the tax rate doubled, or nearly, from 10% to 19%. Okay. 1943, it went up to 23%. This is for the low end earners, guys. Okay, this isn't for the rich. 44, we were still at 23%. 45, we were still at 23%. 46, it was cut to 20. 48, 49, we were at 20%, 22% in the early 50s. Okay, still mid-50s, still at 20%. Even all the way through the Eisenhower administration, the Kennedy administration, it wasn't until we had Lyndon Johnson come in, that POS, that we dropped down around 16, 14%. Nixon came in, still 16, 14%. Ford, okay, got it down to zero in 1977, okay, going into that tax year. Jimmy Carter kept the tax rates at 0%, okay, we'll give you that. Reagan came in, then of course had to fix all of Jimmy Carter's crap, and by 1987 we were at 11%, okay. George Bush, yep, we went straight into that 15%, and then move on along. He got us up to 23.8%. Bill Clinton brought it back to 15%. And then after 9/11, we dropped down to 10. Okay. So taxes are low, just like interest rates were low. Free money is over. Tax rates are going to go up. They have to. We have to pay the bills somehow. We have to prepare for this. If you're looking at over the last 100 years, 10% is one of the lowest marginal tax rates we've had. Where do you think they're going? The government's not going to go, hey, we're broke. Let's collect less taxes. All right. This is what's going on. And do not, under any circumstances, be fooled by this, oh, nobody's going to tax anybody who makes under $400,000 or something like that. Why don't you think about this? 87,000 IRS agents. After the cuts, it's now only 85,260. There's only 600 billionaires in the country, okay? There's a bunch of millionaires, but who are they going to be going after? They're going to be going after small business owners, okay? That's it. Even if they go after the big business owners, who do you work for, okay? If all of a sudden the company has tax issues, your job is no longer safe, okay? If the small business that you work for, the small business that you own, has tax issues, your job is no longer safe, because the IRS has no problem coming in and saying, we're taking your business. And you come in some Tuesday morning and there's a sign on the door saying, seized by the IRS. You don't have a paycheck, okay? This is what you have to pay attention to. I know economics bores the living crap out of everybody, but we have to have the foresight to look at what's going to happen. Taxes are going to go up in 2 years. There's no question. Everybody's going to politic on, I'm not raising taxes, I'm not raising taxes. They're going to raise taxes. And then you hear all these ideas about a fair tax, a flat tax, a national sales tax, whatever it would be. Okay. And if you know what the numbers that they're posting, the national sales tax that they're proposing is 23%, right? Okay. Oh, but then it's equal. Everybody pays at 23%. Right. You're paying 10% now. But to make it equal to everybody, you're going to pay 23% later. Okay? That doesn't work. Let's take a look at a flat tax. Okay? We've heard all sorts of numbers pitched out there about a flat tax. You know, whether it's 10% or 15% or 20% or Bernie Sanders 70%. Okay? None of those are better than the 10% we're paying now. And think of this. Somebody who's making $1 million a year goes, okay, pay 10%. I still get $900,000, as opposed to what they're paying now at 37% goes, okay, I keep 630,000. They're going, cool, I keep an extra 270 grand. I'm good with this. It's Joe middle class, Joe median wrench turner, Joe Lunchbox, who says, I make 50 grand. I'm the median income of the United States. And now I have to pay $5,000, 10%, right? As opposed to Joe has the money taken out of his check each month or each payday, and come January, February, March, whatever it is, he gets an income tax refund. Now Joe has the taxes taken out of his check. Ain't no income tax refund, okay? So it penalizes those of us, the middle class. You hear about things like Herman Cain. Remember him? His 999 plan? All those of you guys on Social Security, okay? Herman Cain's plan included 9% taxes on Social Security. Want to have your Social Security take-home cut? Okay? It doesn't work. All these taxes that they're getting have got to go up somewhere. Flat tax, fair tax, national sales tax will not work. Other countries have tried it. You know, in Europe, Russia tried it after the Soviet Union fell. Lithuania, Latvia tried it after the Soviet Union fell and they became independent countries. And they did great with a flat tax for a while. And then 2008 happened and their GDP was a negative 25%. Okay. You hear Bernie compare us to the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, whatever it was, and their flat tax. Their flat tax, guys, is somewhere around 60 to 70%. Okay. Oh, but you get free health care or whatever it is. Imagine you make $50,000 a year, and by the time you get your paycheck, you take home $15,000 a year. Okay. That's 70%. But oh, you get free health care. Some people that might be huge. They have huge medical bills. Me, I go in for a semi-annual checkup. They draw my blood and that's it. Okay. Free health care, not important at this point. So I'm going to give $35,000 a year on a $50,000 income for the benefit of having free health care. How free is that? Okay. Even Mrs. P's health care costs her about $3,600 a year, not $1,000 a year. Okay. So yeah, on that kind of plan, her health care cost would only increase tenfold. Start planning accordingly for getting yourself out of the tax system. I mean, there's some things you're never going to get rid of. All right, property tax. Okay, if you live in a high property tax state, I told you 2 years ago, try to get out. Okay, it probably, unless you can pay cash, it's probably too late to buy something else unless you want a 7% mortgage. Sales tax is always going to exist. The states have to have money. Okay, whatever would be. But use Tennessee or Florida or Nevada or any of these Texas, that don't have state income tax. Okay. State runs fine here. There's actually money in the bank in Tennessee. Okay. We don't know, you know, and it's all done on sales tax. But our sales tax is around 9%. Just saying. That's running a state. We're not paying for a military or anything along these lines. We don't have a Department of, a Secretary of State of Tennessee. Yes, we do, but I mean, not doing, spending money in Ukraine and all this sort of crap. Those are the things to think about. How can you get yourself out of the system, to not have to pay income tax? This is a prepper thing because as we all talk about things like CBDC, where, okay, I'm not using CBDC, I'm going to get out of the system, I'm going to barter. Same thing's going to happen with employment. You're going to start bartering your work. Okay, sure, I'll fix your car, and in exchange, give me 2 cases of apples or whatever it would be. That's how it's going to be. Yeah, you're going to have some cash because you got to pay those property taxes and stuff like that. But start thinking, this is what we mean when we say totally self-sufficient, where you don't have, not only do you not need anything from the government, but you're not giving anything back to them, or as minimal as possible. Start looking at that and planning for that, because they're going to need to raise taxes. Either party. There's no way they can avoid it. We can't. After this whole thing, we'll see inflation outrageous in 2020, close to the 2024 election. Like I said, when we're seeing official numbers at 10 and 12% inflation, if not more, we all know it'll be 40, 50%. The dollar will have collapsed, whatever it would be. What are your plans? How are you going to maintain any sort of semblance of a normal life? You can only feed the beast so long. And then the beast just keeps coming back for more. Anybody remember the movie Little Shop of Horrors? Okay. And the plant, feed me. That was the only use that the plant had for the character Rick Moranis played. Okay. Just to feed him. That's the same thing as the government. The plant didn't produce anything as a benefit to society. It just wanted to be fed. Our government is no different. Problem is, you and I are the food.